T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, howdy do, everybody. I'm going to say, crisis averted, crisis averted. I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a second. And boy, oh boy, are we going to have fun today on the RP Show, episode number 1744. Coming your way on a variety of platforms, Game Plus, streaming, Silver State Sports, YouTube, podcast, WQVZ. Our special guest today is Alan May, Washington Capitals TV Analyst, and he texted me last night. He's like, "Are you in Vegas?" Yeah. As far as you know, sure. Scruffy's with us. Scruffy, 30 minutes before showtime, my one of my cords here, USB, decides to die. Just decides to die 30 minutes before showtime. The beautiful thing about Moose Jaw, which is where I'm at, there's a Staples 3 minutes away. I had 2 trips over to Staples to get the whole thing fixed, and we made it to where, and here we are, Woosa.
There you go.
It's a great day to have a great day. It's a great day to have a great day, as Jason in Red Deer said. Do you want to get to the big story, the Amar Doman thing now, or do you want to wait, or what?
Were you serious with the Amar Doman text that you sent me last night?
When have I not been serious, Mitch?
Well,
oh wait,
you
don't
never
answer
know.
that. I'm never serious. No. The owner of the the owner of the BC Lions DM'd me last night. He's like, your partner Scruffy's too negative. I'm like, I'll pass it along. I could read you the actual. They're watching. You know they're watching. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's good.
The BC Lions.
And,
yeah, I know they're good.
I would advise Mr. Doman, if he's sort of anti-Scruffy right now, I would advise Mr. Doman to maybe check in with me when it comes time to make CFL predictions, Rod. Because Mr. Doman might do a 180.
Okay. So hang on. We'll get more into the meat of this after the first break because this goes by real fast, but it's fun. So that's what's happened in the last. I texted Scruffy last night. I said, Amar Doman says you're too negative. And then Mitch didn't even write me back. So I was like,
Well, I thought
okay,
you were being.
well, no.
Well, let's just remember that I texted you to say, remember on the show yesterday when we were talking about Carolina, Montreal? And who said it might end up 3-2 and probably in overtime?
Hey, to quote Chris Jones, win with class. So you were right.
Roll
Point
the tape,
one.
partner.
The big story here in the Quick Six Show topics for Uniglobe Carefree Travel with Neil Chark in Vancouver. Andrei Sveshnikov scored the winner at 14:06 of overtime as Carolina defeated Montreal 3-2 Monday to grab a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final. Yeah, Canes up 2-1. You were watching it. I was watching it. We were all watching it. That place was going nuts, and that puck went in. Thump. They might as well just turn the lights out immediately. It was like a church on Tuesday. Quiet. So what does this mean? Carolina's up 2-1. A very boring game. But that's the way Carolina plays.
Yeah, and the Montreal Canadiens are going to have to find a way to generate some shots if they're going to win. You know, they had, 9 against Tampa Bay in Game 7 to move on to the second round. I think this is the second game that they've had under 15 shots against Carolina. Roddy, you've got guys like Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Hudson. You need to find a way to get some shots on goal because if you're not going to do that, you're not going to win. You might be able to steal a game thanks to Jakub Dobiš like Game 7 against Tampa Bay. You can't consistently like that. And give Carolina credit because they are a very good defensive team with guys like Slavin and Sean Walker. But you've got to generate more shots than that. You've got to get at least, in my mind, 25 shots to have a decent chance of winning.
Well, and at least it was a close game. I mean, this series is interesting in that Montreal is what they are. They're fast, they're young, they're exciting, and Carolina is older, and they're boring, and they're slower. But I think it was 11 shots against last night. They plugged it. It kind of reminded me of New Jersey in the 90s, right? They were so hard to watch, yet they won. That's what I felt watching the game last night.
They won because they had probably the best goaltender in the game at that point. True. Marty Brodeur. So, they also had Scott Stevens and Scott Niedermayer. So when you have those two guys on your blue line, plus Marty Brodeur, you're pretty good. So, yeah, I just, as I said, I think Montreal can win the Stanley Cup. They've certainly got the team to, and obviously the other 3 teams that are still left can do the same thing. But Montreal's just got to get more shots on goal. Like, Carolina's good defensively, but they're not that good.
No. Well, I saw a stat. Actually, Biz read it. He said, was it Biz? I think one of the guys. He said that Carolina gave up the most breakaways in the regular season. So it's not like there is not a crack in the armor, that you can't find with Carolina. So, hey, I think we all thought it was going to be a long series. And just a little bit of a spoiler, obviously we'll talk about the Western Conference Final, but tonight it could end. Game 4 in the Fortress. Our poll question is, will it end? Brought to you by Country Thunder. I'll say yeah, because Vegas seems to have so much momentum, but do you think it ends tonight with a sweep?
I can't see how it doesn't. Cale Makar isn't 100%. We don't know if Nathan McKinnon's going to play. If he doesn't, that's obviously a huge negative for the Avalanche. But they just haven't looked like the President's Cup team and the team that really rolled in the first 2 rounds, and give Vegas a lot of credit. I don't think anybody thought that Vegas would be up 3-0, but if Makar's not 100% and if McKinnon does play, he's not 100%. This series probably ends tonight.
Wow.
I just hope they have more I just hope that the Avalanche have more fight in them than what the Cleveland Cavaliers had last night.
Oh, so now you're following the NBA, or have you always?
Well, I've been obviously keeping an eye on it to see what's going on, and I've laughed at the quotes that Cavaliers coach Kenny Atkinson have had, but my God, it's a game, it's an elimination game, and you get beat by 37 at home? Why even bother showing up if that's the performance you're going to give?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I'm just casually watching the scores. I'm not watching the games. Maybe come the finals, I will, especially if Oklahoma City makes it an SGA and he's such a big deal in Canada and all the rest. But what I keep hearing is that the NBA has a big, big, big problem. And we can discuss that later on here in hour one if you want. I know Tony from Cochrane's tuned in. He's a huge NBA fan. I don't have a reason to tune in. I don't care. But I'm also different than everybody else. And you are different than everybody else. Well, hang on. We're breaking in 15 seconds.
No, go ahead.
We're breaking in now 10 seconds.
We can bring it up
so we'll be right back. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line. The RP show continues after this.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, and this is the warm-up, proudly brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel in Vancouver. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Big shout-out to our friends at Western Dodge and Moose Jaw, the official vehicle provider of the RP Show. Picked up my Dodge Hornet yesterday. It's awesome, Stuffy.
Nice.
I'll be giving you a ride in it. Experience the Western Dodge difference, local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. And it's funny, the Silver State Sports is retweeting and posting all of our stuff. I still can't believe that this show airs in Vegas every single night. What a God shot that is. We'll be talking a lot more about Game 4 in Hour 2. Alan May will be joining us, Washington Capitals TV analyst. Scruffy and I just talked about it. I want to dig into this a little more, just so you know, for those that all just tuned in. The owner of the BC Lions, Amar Doman, for whatever reason, has taken a liking to this show. Because he seems like a smart guy, Mitch, but for whatever reason, he likes this show. I don't get it. So he was watching yesterday, and do you want to hear the exact DM? I don't think he'd mind.
Yeah, I do.
I think it's pretty cool that an owner of a pro sports team is writing us. He says he's too CFL negative, in my opinion. Stuck in yesteryear, Rod. I hope he lightens up a little. And I wrote him back, and I said, I'll have a chat with him. And as usual, Mitch, it's part of our pre-show meeting that we've never had, knowing each other for 30 years. We've never had a meeting. Here's me talking to you about your CFL negativity.
Well, again, I would invite Mr. Doman to listen next week when we have CFL predictions, because he might change his tune about my negativity. But when this league, as we go towards the start of the season, still doesn't have an app. I did get an email yesterday saying apparently fantasy's ready to go, but I haven't seen anything. I'm all for the rule changes. I don't know if Mr. Doman knows that. And I think Amar Doman is a guy really that the CFL needs, because this guy knows what he's doing. And the CFL needs more guys like Amar Doman in it for this league to thrive. And that's not a shot anybody else, any other team, but Amar Doman gets it. And as I said, I wish that there were other teams that could adopt what Amar Doman is doing, because he's great.
I admire him a ton, because I know how the CFL works internally. And
exactly.
He's everything opposite that.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't imagine what it's like in those board meetings, because I don't know. He and I have never talked about that, other than he wrote me a couple of weeks ago. He said, Rod, let's get me on your show. Let's do it. And it's one of the most viewed interviews that we've had, and I appreciate him for doing it. It reminds me a little bit, I was talking about this the other day. You weren't on the show with me, but I said when Jim Hobson made the decision to lift the blackouts for Saskatchewan Roughriders broadcast back in the day, back in 2006, at the time I didn't think anything of it. But he must have had to get on his hands and knees and beg the board of directors to make that happen, of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because they're stuck in friggin' 1930. But the next year, they sold out every single game all year, including the preseason. He was like, it's a 3-hour commercial for why would we not lift the blackout in the province? But these are the visionaries, the deep thinkers that, I mean, Jim's been celebrating. At the end of the day, I hope Amar Doman is too. I hope he gets his Grey Cup championships. But it's not the way that most of them think.
No. The days of every game at Mosaic Stadium being sold out, that's not going to happen, because fans here just won't, because of excuse after excuse after excuse. I think Mike Stackhouse said this week in his column on your website that, certain Rider fans, they won't go to games unless it's on this time, at this date, with this temperature. And he's right. And number two, it's great that you have a relationship with Mr. Dolan. Did you ever have Gary Stern on your show?
Yes.
Alouettes owner at the time?
Yep, I did.
What was he like?
I liked him. To be honest, I liked him a lot. We kind of spoke the same language.
He was very active on Twitter with some people, and I thought that was great.
I know, but everybody that worked for him hated him. So when I talk to my buddies in the Alouette organization, I will tend to go with their word. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, he was great. I did have him on. I thought he was pretty cool. But, hey, where's he now? As I heard the other day, where's he now? I know, right? From the text line, and by the way, let's get him going, everybody. 902-518-3033. Start spreading the news. Rod and Scruffy are on the RP show on a Tuesday. Alan May coming up in hour 2. Viewer Jason writes in, he says, not sure if this is real, but Vegas Golden Knights owner Bill Foley is now preparing a bid for a Las Vegas NBA franchise. Proposal includes more than $300 million in renovations to T-Mobile Arena. Oh, I know that it's true. I mean, I get so much information out of the Golden Knights, which brings me back to something that I want to say with the media. Scruffy and I are both old dogs, right? You and I are in this business, and basically, we came up with when you find out something, you report it. Usually, right? That's kind of what, it ain't, homie, don't play that game anymore. And one step further, you don't say anything negative. Amar is a great example of the new breed of owners and just the way it is. Don't say anything negative, period. And we won't have a problem. That's what I say with the NHL. Me covering that, why that's gone so well in Florida, is that I truly believe what I say. I don't have to dress anything up. With the CFL, it's a little different. But with Vegas, I don't want to get on the wrong side of the Golden Knights is the thing. So I know that they're preparing a bid for an NBA team, and they'll probably get it. They're not the only ownership group in that town. But if you were that are going to try and get an NBA team under their umbrella, but if you were the NBA, would you not want Bill Foley as your owner?
Well, when you take a look at what he's done in the NHL, why wouldn't you? And, I think, Rod, and, you and I were still doing Sports Cage when Bill Foley's name first came up with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think you actually had him on one afternoon with us.
Yep.
We didn't know who Bill Foley was, at least I didn't. And, the NHL owners obviously would have done their homework at the time to see what it's all about. Bill Foley came in, and he answered a lot of questions about Vegas. And I think there were a lot of people out there that thought Vegas could be another Arizona, that Vegas could basically be a team that, it's going to be a tourist team that if your team is in there, you're going to go, and a lot of fan trips will go. But Bill Foley showed us what the Vegas Golden Knights were going to be and what they are today. And
I'll tell you.
About that yesterday. We talked about that yesterday. So, yeah, I think that the NBA would be wise to have Bill Foley get a team in Seattle or in Vegas.
So as I'm talking to you right now, this is how that conversation went. And maybe this is why our show is airing in Vegas. It's airing because of producer Corey. He made it happen. So just for everybody that knows, producer Corey had the connections in Las Vegas. We got to air there, and they love it, and I'm grateful for it every day. But I've known Bill Foley since before that team even hit the ice. And so, number one, you mentioned the tourist thing. I brought that up to him. As a matter of fact, he's a normal guy. I know I bang on the owners quite a bit, but he's not one of them. He's got something between his ears. He was raised in Ottawa. He's an Army guy, military guy. And I said to him, are you going to fill this rink with tourists? He's like, F no. I think this was off the mic. But he's like, everybody in that rink is going to have a Nevada address. And you had to get season tickets. He goes, I'm not going to fill this with tourists. Why would I do? I want to build a fan base of Nevadans in that rink.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he's done. So I'll tell you another one. A very good friend of mine that works for the team. He was asking me about Kelly McCrimmon. I said, do you ever run into Krim in the hallways? He goes, I want to talk to him, but he's always so busy. He's just zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm afraid to ask him. I said, listen, unless he's changed, which I don't think he has, just stop him for a sec and ask for 5 minutes. He says, I'd like to talk to him about some things. Kelly will do it, but he's a very intimidating guy. You were around Krim, right? What's your history with the general manager of the Golden Knights?
I've never had a problem with Kelly. And
right.
I know that when he was with the Brandon Wheat Kings, and I know that you guys, your relationship was when you were with the Pats, and I know there was like a respect there, but I also know that he was protecting his brand. You were protecting yours. But whenever time I talk to Kelly, whether it be at the Brandt Center or at the Civic Center / Mosaic Place, or whatever it's called now. Sorry, I forget what it is. Or on the phone or whatever, Kelly and I had a very good relationship. Kelly held me to standard with questions that were asked to be expected. And I knew that Kelly would be a huge success in the National Hockey League. Did I think Kelly would win as quickly as he did? No. But did I think he would win? Absolutely I did.
Yeah. And furthermore, one win away from advancing to the Stanley Cup after firing John Tortorella or Bruce Cassidy. Who didn't think that that would work? But I'll tell you a funny story. Here's the thing with me and Kelly. We're both Saskatchewan farm kids. And, yeah, we fought tooth and nail. But he was with the Wheat Kings and I was with the Pats. When his brother was killed, Brad, in the plane crash in Russia, I made a beeline for Brad to shake his, or for Kelly to shake his hand, offer my condolences. When my dad died, Kelly was the first to call me and offer condolences. When I hit 5 years sobriety, Kelly texted me congratulations, and then 10 years. So there's a distinct respect there. But I don't know if I ever told you this story. When we, the Pats, were negotiating to hire Bobby Lowe's, the longtime Wheat Kings coach, to be the coach of the Pats, they had the deal all worked out. And Bobby Lowe said to our general manager, okay, so the last issue, what about the radio guy? And our GM goes, what about him? He goes, we freaking hate each other. How's that going to work?
Really?
Oh, yeah. And the GM, let's call him Brent, goes, oh, you're on our side now. You guys won't have a problem. And he was 100% right. It was never personal. And Losey and I went on to be great friends from day one. But it was,
I had no idea that you and Losey used to be at each other.
Oh, my God. You have
oh my God, I had no
idea.
Like, I knew that you and Losey are good friends, but I didn't know it was the other way around at one time.
Oh, we freaking hated each other. And one time, he'd been the coach of the Pats for like a month, and we were playing in Brandon, and his wife and kids were still in Brandon. So we took the whole team to their house. She cooked for the whole team, and I was standing, Shelly's her name, and we're standing in the kitchen. She goes, for $1 million, I never would have thought you'd be standing in our kitchen. It's just rivalry stuff. But again, that stuff doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. But anyways, enough of story time.
Of course it doesn't exist anymore, because if it did, you wouldn't be sitting where you are in Moose Jaw, my good friend.
Why do you mean?
Well, I think your exploits
in Moose Jaw
at the Civic Center are well known, i.e. your interaction with Scott Dybert's dad, your vehicle being vandalized.
Hey, my lips are chapped from going around this town and kissing ass 3 summers ago. We're good now. We're good now. I had to apologize, and they accepted it, and they're classy people. John writes in from Winnipeg. He says, Vegas, from nowhere in the desert to all-in sports town. I know. It's a hell of a story. It is a hell of a story. Colton San Diego writes, and he says, and the PWHL is coming to Vegas. Vegas is getting every top pro sports league and teams. And now Vancouver might move the team to Vegas. He's talking about the Whitecaps. I don't think that will ever happen, by the way. I fully believe that was just leverage. You know how teams do that.
Yep.
Like the old slap shot line. They're just jacking them around so they're happy they got jobs. Which in the end, the mill did close. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he was talking about basketball. He goes, speaking of basketball, which we were earlier, he says, I had to Google if St. Louis had any basketball experience because the Canadiens break out exactly like a basketball fast break. I love it. I know, but somehow or another it got shut down last night. Big time by Carolina. Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back. It's fun. It's a fun day today. I told you it would be. 902-518-3033 is the text line. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. This is the warm-up brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Action Travel, and we will be back in a flash on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly, we built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean, Brody, and the Wreck Loss teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else. I can't help myself.
Two of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at saskpix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, and when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery. Are you hungry late? The Mad Greek Eatery is open until 11 p.m. nightly for dine-in, pickup, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. Great place to go to pick up eats for your sports watching. Scruffy's with me here for one more segment. Alan May, Washington Capitals TV analyst, coming up next hour. Darcy from Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in. He says, "You're back in Moose Jaw. We're coming to Sask this summer. I'm going to try and make a Moose Jaw Miller game. Go Jays, go Habs," from Darcy and Grand Prairie. Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, they are at Swifty on Thursday. Our home opener is Friday against the Regina Red Sox. The Regina Red Sox are here on Friday.
All right. Well, you'll be your home opener will be a failure then. So
I saw a glimmer of a smile across your Grinch-like face when I said Regina. Vintage Sasko says, "Hey, Uncle Rodney and Madhouse Mitch." This is the guy formerly known as Fake Gainer. He's changed his name to Vintage Sasko, okay? He's written in, he says, "Will Lamar Doman pull a Mosca on Scruffy if they meet?" He says, I am a fan of both. Listen, that's the one thing about the CFL, and we were just talking in the break about my scrapes with fans across the Western Hockey League. Let's throw the CFL in there, too. If you and Amar Doman had the next Joe Cap, Angelo Mosca thing, that'd be the greatest thing for the CFL. It's missing that entertainment sizzle. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would. In fact, I'm just going to throw this at you because I'd have to think about it. Roddy, what player is the biggest character in the CFL right now?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I think of A.J. Ouellette, the running back for the Riders, but I hear he doesn't like to do interviews. He's a very private guy, and that doesn't help when you're trying to sell the league. But he'd be one of the first, a character, right? He kind of stands out off your screen, right?
But I'm talking like a guy like, like a Bo Levi Mitchell back in the day in Calgary.
Adriano Belli.
Lawrence. Who?
Adriano Belli, the kissing bandit.
Yeah, exactly. Duron Carter, say what you will about him, but he was a character. The CFL doesn't have any of those guys anymore. There's a lot of guys in the NFL, a lot of the diva wide receivers, but there's nobody in the CFL that's a character anymore. There's nobody that's a quote machine.
Well, I know, but let me just stop you for a sec. I can just see it now. You and I are going to be babyface in the heel regarding the CFL all summer. Who in the NHL is that?
Matthew Tkachuk.
Okay. Who in MLB is that?
Dalton Rushing of the Dodgers.
Okay. Fair. You're right, but I mean, yeah, not our problem to solve. If I may, Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, "Hey, Rod, the Skydome roof was finally opened on Monday for the first time against Miami 2 months into the season. How about that?" I saw the tweet from Kevin Gosman where he said if the roof wasn't open, they were going to riot. And then they roundly got bombed 8-2 by the Marlins, who won a season-high 4 games. But I'll tell you what, I know you're not – yeah.
They got beat by a pitcher named Jansen Junk. What a great name for a pitcher. Jansen Junk.
Well, he had to be a pitcher, right? Has he got nice junk? Has he got good junk?
I didn't watch, so I'd have to do some Googling.
Well, for those that observe, for those that celebrate, tonight is our welcome barbecue for the Moose Jaw Miller Express of the Western Canadian Baseball League, where it's always fun. First team get together with everybody at our team president, Daryl Peugeot's place. And as we say, the season opens Thursday at Swifty, Friday here. Hey, Coach Matthew DeBuck has checked in, and he says, "Go, Habs, go." Where were you yesterday, DeBuck? I was waiting to hear from you. We got to get you on the show here. It's funny because Knuckles Nyland, his clip where he talked about Mitch Mana, drew 60,000 views on Twitter, Mitch. People really didn't like what he had to say about Mitch Marner, but it was brought up. The torch ceremony, which I didn't think it would be Claude Lemieux. Did you guess?
That shocked me when I saw Lemieux. As I put out on Twitter, was Chris Draper allowed in the building?
It did get a lot of reaction. Yes. Red Wings fans are saying, I don't get it. They're like, oh, there's a turtle bringing the torch out. A turtle.
You and I have discussed this, and it's well known. The Montreal Canadiens do ceremonies unlike any other team in professional sport. What they do is just, they're up here and the rest of them are just not even close.
Yep.
That torch thing is great. And you're sort of always trying to guess who it might be. I think if you had Bet365 odds last night, Claude Lemieux would have been way down the list if he even would have been on it. Because I didn't expect that one.
Well, it's fun. I mean, I do so much work with the alumni across various leagues, and Montreal, not shockingly, has one of the strongest and largest alumni in the National Hockey League. That's a very deep pool of guys that live there. There's not as many ex-Oilers as you would believe living in Edmonton. It's a topic for another time. There isn't.
Same with
for
Toronto.
Whatever reason, I don't know. Toronto, too, correct. Like in Tampa Bay, I'll never forget, I was down there hosting a sports trip, and Dan Goodspeed was the featured alumni of the game for the Buccaneers. I'm like, no offense, Goody. I was with him. I was on the field with him. I said, but you were the third-string backup right tackle on the Super Bowl team. No offense, but they're honoring you? He's like, there's only like 5 of us that live here. Rondé Barber, the quarterback Brad Johnson, who nobody even knows what he looks like. Brad Johnson, you pass him on the street, nobody in Tampa knows who he is. He goes, Gruden's fighting with the Buccaneers at that time. He goes, he won't set foot in this stadium. So he's like, there's like 5 of us, and they just rotate us.
Wow.
So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Isn't that wild?
Wow. That is.
Viewer Jason says, hope Carey Price brings out the torch tomorrow because it will be their last home game. Well, until Game 6. Assuming that there will be.
Do you think
Game
Patrick
6.
Waugh would ever do that if they asked him?
Oh yeah, we talked about this yesterday with Jared. Well, he would. Yes. It's not, Patrick Waugh is not the one with the problem. You know what I'm saying? The Montreal Canadiens are the one with. Oh, it is.
Yeah, I think that Patrick still got a little bit of animosity there, but I think it is more team based than ex-player based.
That's another thing that I spend a lot of time in, dealing with disgruntled players that have feuds with their former teams. I have a little bit of history in that too, as you know. I don't want to name names.
You?
Yeah. But
Never.
as I say to the guys, it's Ron Duguay's feud with the Rangers is well publicized, so that's not a big. I've talked with Dukes about it. We know where Theo Fleury is on things, and I'm like, just get over it. Just get over it, because nobody cares but us, and the team will always win. You know.
Yep.
Paul and Humboldt writes in regarding characters in the CFL. He says Brady Oliveira, bully ball. He's a good kid, and he's got a great brand with the rescuing the dogs and everything, and local kid and wonderful guy. A character? He also speaks his mind. I love Brady Oliveira. But he's not in... You're talking villains, kind of, are you not? Sort of talking villains?
Yeah, I'm talking heels. Like back in the day, Bo Levi Mitchell was a heel when he was in Calgary. There were guys like that. Adriano Belli, say what you will about him, but he was a heel. Peter Diakowski, who we know is anti-CFL rule changes. Really, you know what, Roddy? He's not a player, but Luke Wilson might be the biggest character, i.e. heel, in the CFL.
Well, if that's what they want. I mean, I've never quite yet figured that out, because he is so critical of the CFL. Then they don't like that. I don't get it. Although Moose talked to him at the Regina dinner, and you talked to him that weekend, and Moose goes, he just doesn't really care. Like, he doesn't need the job. So he's in a different space than a lot of people doing media. It's their job. He just doesn't care.
I will tell you this. For those that think he isn't passionate about the CFL, you'd be wrong.
We all
Because
are.
the man loves Canadian football.
We all do. We should be allowed to speak our minds without getting canceled.
Yep.
But that's not the way that it is. Okay, Mitch. This has been a hell of a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Go enjoy a scruffy day.
Have a good one, Roddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir. We'll be right back. It's the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, everybody. It is the RP Show, as you were warned. And now we can get Scruffy out of the way in his blossoming feud with BC Lions owner Amar Doman. If you don't know what we're talking about, rewind. But I will tell you, we can get back to the warm-up and the Quick Six show topics. Brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th, 2027. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99. Cruise only. Contact Neil at Uniglobe Travel. Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. So here's the thing. Part of the reason why I said we're going to have so much CFL coverage this summer here on this show is because not a lot of other people are doing it. Why are the BC Lions watching this? Why are the BC Lions sponsors sponsoring the show? I don't know. It's a God shot, but I think it's great. And Amar Doman wrote me and said, your co-host too, CFL negative. He's living in the past. I know that. What did Fred Flintstone say about Joe Rockhead? He's just right for the party. Can't have all sunshine and rainbows here. So anyways, fun. Oh, by the way, we do the picks every day. It's for Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, which I'll be popping into this week. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Scruffy and I both picked Vegas to win last night, but don't get your knickers in a knot. Jared and I both picked Montreal to win last night in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they lost 3-2 in overtime. Knuckles said it best last week, Knuckles Nyland. He was like, the players don't even know who's going to win. Why are you asking me? Yet everybody gets so hung up on the picks. I get it. But I say, don't take it to the bank. I happened to be watching NHL on TNT when they were laughing about it, but Biz said, notice there's no busy bets anymore on TNT because his picks were always wrong. People were losing too much money. They yanked the segment. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I'll get back on. I'll get on track. Point 3, the Toronto Blue Jays received some unwelcome injury news regarding starting pitcher Dylan Cease and all-star slugger Vladdy Guerrero before their series opener against the Marlins Monday night, and then they wasted a solid effort from young starter Trey Savage, dropping an 8-2 decision to the Florida visitors. Despite Savage's career-high 6 2/3 innings performance, Toronto lost its second straight, and the Marlins won their season-high 4th in a row. Before the game, the roof was open for the first time this season. And before the game, the Blue Jays revealed that Cease had been placed on the 15-day injured list. Vladdy was listed day-to-day with a sore left elbow after being plunked on Sunday by a pitch. I talked about this yesterday. Now everybody's going to find out what life's like without Vladdy. And it sucks. Be careful what you wish for. Let me keep on rolling. Point 4, Jack Pridham scored twice. Cameron Reid had a goal and 3 helpers, and the Kitchener Rangers knocked off the Everett Silvertips 6-2 to record their second consecutive victory at the Memorial Cup Monday night. Tonight at the Memmer, the 1-1 Chicoutimi Saguenayens play the 2-0 Kitchener Rangers. Wednesday, Kelowna faces Everett. Everett. Here's another one. Point 5 from the CFL. The Hamilton Tiger Cats released veteran receiver returner Mario Alford on Monday, who signed with Hamilton as a free agent in February. Alford played in 11 regular season games with the Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders last year, returning 44 punts for 476 yards and 31 kickoff returns with a tud. Welcome to my world. The old song by Farron Young. I go back and forth between the fans and the teams and the teams and the fans. And on this, I'm kind of like a fan. I'm like, Super Mario? They cut Super Mario? He said 876 return yards last year and a tud. It's not personal. We get sucked into this all the time. Coaching firings, player releases. It's not personal. It's probably a money thing. Potentially an age thing. But that's one CFL note that I came across this morning while preparing for the program today. And you're going to start hearing more and more about this. Who was the quarterback? Was it Terry Wilson for Winnipeg? That is the one thing about football players. I had this discussion the other day with the difference between football players, hockey players, football, hockey, and baseball, because they all couldn't be more different. Football does the most, players do the most erratic things. Hockey players are kind of goofy, but they're nice guys. Kind of like Odie the dog. And baseball players, they're just sly and chill. And they just don't get too worked up about anything. But football players are aggressive and borderline irrational. Day before the game, I quit. Why? Because I want to. There's some notes from the Canadian Football League for you. 902-518-3033. Scruffy was asking about why there are not more characters in the Canadian Football League, and I don't think the league wants characters, but it's interesting from the viewers. Viewer Jason says, what about Chad Kelly? That's going to be an interesting situation to watch. There's a small debate raging in the comments section on my website, rodpeterson.com, where I kind of brought this up in my commentary today, which airs on Sask Radio. Chad Kelly served his sentence. It was a half-season suspension, public humiliation, the scarlet letter that goes along with that. People still won't get off his back. I've never met Chad Kelly, so I don't really. Actually, I'm glad this came up. So I had people with the Argos team asking me to defend him, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know him. I'm not going to defend him, but thanks. I hope you understand. And with the case of Carter Hart, because it's the same thing. He faced charges. They were dropped, and the kid resumed playing. And so there was a guy that wrote into my website today and said, Carter Hart is playing like a man who knows his whole world can be pulled away instantly, because it almost was. And I'm sitting back really enjoying and halfway scoffing at the pundits. Let's say it. The pundits saying, oh, why didn't the Oilers sign Carter Hart? I was saying it at the time. And there's a difference between debating these things and then people that don't even know what they're talking about. There's a lot of people in the media that have no idea what they're talking about. But Kevin Carius, my oldest friend in this business from Sports 1440 Radio Edmonton, he played for the Millville Millionaires. I consider him a hockey player. Like, he gets it, but he doesn't know goalies. We had this debate back in the wintertime when Carter Hart was still free in the fall before he signed with Vegas. I said Edmonton should sign him. Oh, no, he's not coming here. And his numbers aren't any better than Stuart Skinner's. I'm like, that you have absolutely zero idea about goaltender play then. They're not what do you mean their numbers? Not about their numbers. Look at Carter Hart. If you've been following what I've been saying for years, long before going back to the junior days when he represented Canada at the World Jays and then was doing great things in Philadelphia before the team was just so bad, he got lumped in with that. Everybody thought he was a bad goalie and his numbers weren't good. Guess what? The team sucked. Those that know. It's called the eye test, and the scouts know it. That's why they don't go by stats, and that's where Kevin and I got in an argument about it. If you actually think Stuart Skinner and Carter Hart are even in the same world as far as talent goes and number one availability, number one, acumen go, then we can't be friends. And in a way, it's sad, but in a way, I get it. Matthew Barnaby was on this show. He's been very hard to pin down to come back on, but he's a very busy guy. But I said, we were all looking for the next goalie after Carey Price for Team Canada, and I still thought it could be Carter Hart. And Matthew Barnaby said he'll never wear the maple leaf again. For reasons we all know, but that's not bothering Vegas, but that's not Team Canada. It's different, and I understand it. I'm laughing because David number 2 writes in, I mean, as I say, leave this stuff to me. David number 2 writes in, he says, Scruffy reminds me of my sister-in-law. Opinionated, but with more facial hair. Your sister-in-law has more facial hair or Scruffy has more facial hair? Can you clarify? What I say, what Fred Flintstone said about Joe Rockhead. He's just right for the party. I mean, again, Scruffy is, we've been friends a real long time. And I got more years left. I got more runway left in this trade than Scruffy does. So that's why I'm pivoting on my approach to things. Go along to get along. I would, just interesting with the CFL thing. There's just too many people in that league that don't like me for whatever reason. It's fine. I'm sure I did something. So put it on me. But it's kind of funny when you got an owner like Amar Doman not only reaches out to come on the show, but then watches the show afterwards and says, your guy Scruffy's too negative. You're right. But it'd be pretty boring sitting here agreeing all the time. Producer Corey, stop it. He writes in, he says, it sounds like date night in Sarnia if it's her with the facial hair. I've seen a few around here like that. I mean the prairies. Okay. We're asking who were the characters now, because Scruffy said, who's the characters in the CFL? And I couldn't think of any. I said, but are there in the NHL? And Jason Redder says, Brad Marchand is the character. Scruffy said Matthew Tkachuk. And I'm like, oh, and we got them both in Florida. It's a regular 3-ring circus there, believe me, with those two. And they win. John Ohm says, get Matt Dunnigan on the show. Love that individual. It would be nice. I'll talk to Matty. He's been on multiple times. We'll see. He's been getting over things, dealing with things and down in Florida. We'll be back with hour 2 right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
It's a little thing we call the RP Show, everybody, and you are tuned in. Welcoming viewers across Nevada, specifically Las Vegas on Silver State Sports. It's game night in the Fortress. Are the brooms out? Talking a lot of Stanley Cup playoffs, and our guest will be joining us to help us do that. Alan May will be with us later on. Hi, this hour from the Washington Capitals television crew. Monumental Sports, they call it there in D.C. The guest segment is always brought to you by Prairie Panels. Building a sharp barn. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca for info. How? Yes, we're broadcasting from the middle of a basketball court. And last hour in hour one, there were kids out here playing on said courts. That is no green screen behind me. It's a lot of fun. Let's get down to business on this Tuesday. We cannot move forward until we observe the past briefly. Point one, the big story from the Stanley Cup playoffs. Andrei Svechnikov sifted the winner through a crowd at 14:06 of overtime, and his Carolina Hurricanes defeated Montreal 3-2 Monday night to grab a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final. Game 4 goes Wednesday at the Bell Center. Shane Gostisbehere and Taylor Hall had the goals in regulation for Carolina. Freddie Anderson made 11 saves as the Hurricanes again kept opposition shooters at bay after allowing just 12 shots in their 3-2 overtime victory Saturday. back when the series was tied 1-1. So the Canes are up 2-1. Did you watch it on ESPN? I'm going to tell you that I'm very much enjoying being back in Canada for the summer and watching the Canadian broadcast on Sportsnet. They do it well, particularly in Montreal, the cathedral of hockey. And hey, did anybody guess? I know you. If you say you did, you're lying. That Claude Lemieux would be the torchbearer, bringing the torch out for the Montreal Canadiens in advance of Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. I said Carey Price, and I will keep saying Carey Price until it is Carey Price, one of the all-time great Montreal goalies. Yesterday's analyst, Jared Dumba, said Stéphane Richer, a member of the 1993 Stanley Cup champion team, but it wasn't him. It was Claude Lemieux. And then they lost at home again. It's interesting because now, were they 2-7? Something bad in these playoffs at home, Montreal and Knuckles Nyland, which was our most viewed interview of the year of 2026 was with Chris Knuckles Nyland, who said it's not about the torch. They're just playing bad at home. They do have to get that figured out if they're going to win the Stanley Cup. The one thing is, and we've seen it with some other teams, some teams are a flash in the pan. They'll go deep in the playoffs in 1 year, and then we don't hear from them again. Montreal's not that. Like, if they don't get to the top of the mountain this year, they'll be back next year. There's no doubt about that. But you don't want to let it slip through your hands when you're this close and you have this good of a team. But, man, that was a boring game to watch. I was watching it with my business manager, Joe, and it was like he's not the biggest hockey guy like I am. Football's his sport, and he loves his curling. But it was eye-glazing. I'm like, can we end this? And finally they did. But that's the other thing about overtime games. My pick was wrong. I said Montreal would win. So did Jared. It was overtime. It's one goal. That's how close these games are, at least in the East. Which brings us to point 2. Game number 4 of the Stanley Cup Western Conference Final goes tonight in Las Vegas. And by the way, viewer Jason, can you tell me what the stats are on the poll? I do not have the ability to look at it. Today's poll question brought to you by Country Thunder. The biggest party of the summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, this July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. The Vegas Golden Knights go for a sweep of the Colorado Avalanche in Game 4 tonight. And this series, now that's going into round 3. I had mentioned last week on the show, actually was on our Cats and Bolts Florida NHL podcast. I said it's been a chalky Stanley Cup playoff bracket. I picked that up in U.S. college sports. That term means it's like it was written in chalk on the board going in. This is what we drew was going to happen. That's what's happened. Until this Vegas-Carolina series. Now, the injuries, do they have a lot to do with it? Yeah, probably. You take the best person out of your workplace, take the best 2 people out of your workplace, it's going to affect productivity. And if Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon are as injured to the degree that we're led to believe, then that might have something to do with what Vegas has done. But you know what? Give them some credit. That beat-up Colorado team was still the one that jumped out to a 3-0 lead the other night in Game 3 in the Fortress. Did we forget about that? But there's just something happens in these games where the Golden Knights just flip a switch and Colorado can't hang. So the poll question is does it end tonight for Country Thunder? I said yes, it ends tonight. Scruffy last hour said yes, it ends tonight. Of course, he always has to have the last word. He always has to add the addendum. Oh, if those guys are as hurt as they say. I don't care about that. Vegas really appears to be that team that can smell blood in the water or taste blood in the water, however they do it. I think it ends tonight. We will ask Alan May when he joins us next from the Washington Capitals TV broadcast if he thinks it ends tonight. Thank you, Jason, for answering that. He says 64% saying yes, it ends tonight in Vegas. Give them more rest to get ready for the Stanley Cup final as Carolina and Montreal wail on each other in the Eastern Conference final. 64% say yes, 36% say no. I might add, not trolling here, but we had the poll going into this final round, who will win the Stanley Cup of the Final Four. A distant 4th was the Vegas Golden Knights, as voted by our viewers on the Country Thunder Daily Poll. Just saying. And furthermore, Alan May texted me last night. He's like, "Are you in Vegas?" I'm like, "No." Maybe it kind of looks like we are. But it's working out great that the Golden Knights are going on this run. And yeah, it's working out great that we're on Vegas TV and this team is performing the villain role, which I think we've talked about enough. Now let's just sit back and watch. But, I'll get into that with Alan when he joins us next. Like, you can't tell me that this has not been a galvanizing force. And was it last hour or the start of this hour that I said Carter Hart? I can't say it. A guy that wrote into our website at rodpeterson.com where I examine all these same issues, but a little more in-depthly, said Carter Hart is playing like a man that knows his whole life could be taken away in a second because it almost was. That is a different type of perspective that you get in life. I have it. He's got it. You're actually lucky when you do have it. But do you want to earn the scars to get it? That is the question. Viewer Jason says, Connor McDavid and former Leafs coach Craig Berube spotted chatting at the Newark airport. At this point, we need to tell people, not you, Jason, but the person that brought up that report, get a life. The Quick Six show topics are brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. I left my Canadian flag and my U.S. flag at my home in Florida, along with the John Ohm gong. But I got a buddy that's down there in Fort Lauderdale. He's from Saskatoon. Actually, originally Drake, Saskatchewan, but he is speaking to the Broward County United Way today about mental health and spirituality and all this. And he was posted a photo from the balcony of his hotel. I'm like, it's the 13th floor of the Westin you're on. Fort Lauderdale Beach Boulevard. I miss home. But I do have to say, very, very much enjoying my time here in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where we'll get fired up with the Western Canadian Baseball League Thursday night. And I went out for a very, 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 very long walk this morning. I'm looking at my watch because I'm counting my steps. I got 9,298 steps already before 9 in the morning. The weather is magnifico. Ironically, the same temperature as South Florida, but the humidity here is 16%. There, 86%. You could die. I feel like you could die. 902-518-3033 is a text line for Western Dodge. And they are the official vehicle provider of the RP Show. I picked up my Dodge Hornet from them yesterday. Thank you. Your go-to for Ram trucks and Jeep adventures, you guessed it, Western Dodge. Stop in today. Just checking in to see what the viewers are saying. John Ohm says, get the brooms out for tonight. I should be writing down the things I want to talk to Alan May about in the next segment. Like, do you believe in those jinxes? I mean, Vegas will not want anybody talking about the sweep. Trust me, they're not talking about it. They're not in that room. They're not. They're talking about going out and winning one game. And probably one period and maybe even one shift because that's the way you do it to be successful. But we can talk about it. Don't get mad at us. When I was broadcasting teams as the home broadcaster, I wouldn't bring up shutout if our goalie had one on the line. But I would obviously bring it up if the other goalie did. And now I'm not afraid to talk about it. Whether I talk about it or not is not going to affect whether there's a sweep tonight or the shutout's broken. Stop it. Brent has checked in from Wellington, Florida. He says, I'm sweating just thinking about that many steps outside. I miss you, Brent. And a lot of my friends in Florida have been texting me, and I've been texting. I miss you. But here's the thing. I mentioned this yesterday. My Anglo-Saxon, German, Danish genetics, it doesn't fit well in Florida. My skin was starting to bubble, not literally bubble, and get blotchy on the weekend. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get north. I really love it there, but I really love it here. And I'm so dang lucky to have the best of both worlds every day. I'm grateful for that. John Ohm says, not only does Rod talk the talk, he also walks the walk. Hey, perfect timing on that. It's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 out here in the Mountain Time Zone, God's time zone. For those that celebrate, just take a minute. Mentally get in that spot where you want to be and be the person you want to be. Imagine the ending you want it to be, and then just live there. Everything happens for a reason. Yeah, we're not on Game Plus for now. I don't know if we're going to go back to Game Plus or not. But we're on the air in Nevada every single night. That's a really, really big deal in prime time. If you want to watch us on TV, move to Vegas. People have moved there for less reasons than that. 902-518-3033 is the text line. Yes, BW from Edmonton. Carlos in Indiana says, so Rod doesn't tan, but ripen. No, I peel. Although the longer that I've spent in Florida, I'm getting the proper skin. I'll be honest. I'm getting used to it. It's just taken a long time. My personal coach, Lisa, she's Italian from New York. She lives in West Palm, never had a sunburn in her life. She's got that Italian olive skin. Lucky gal. Point 3, as we talk MLB baseball, the A's are in first place in the American League West at 27-27. How about that? Meanwhile, your Toronto Blue Jays, for those that celebrate, they got some bad news regarding starting pitcher Dylan Cease and veteran slugger Vladdy Guerrero prior to last night's 8-2 bombing at the hands of the Miami Marlins. Dylan Cease is going to be on the 15-day DL with a left hamstring sprain, while Vladdy's day-to-day with a sore left elbow after he got plunked Sunday. Jays lost their second straight. They fell 8-2 to the Fish. Marlins won a season-high 4 in a row. And the roof was open at Rogers Center in Toronto. I saw the tweet from Kevin Gosman saying, if the roof isn't open tonight, we riot. The star righty in the Jays starting rotation. You know who, this may or may not surprise you. Do you know who decides whether the roof is open or not in any particular retractable roof stadium? Who do you think, Corey, who do you think decides whether the roof is open or not for games? Football games, hockey games? You see, he doesn't know. I didn't know either. It's the coach or the manager. It's the coach or the manager. It's always been the way. So John Schneider decided the roof should be open last night in Toronto. They opened it, and his team got spanked 8-2. So we'll see if it's closed tonight. But it's not the mayor. It's not the governor. It's not the president. It's the coach of the home team. I find that really cool. But mull that over for a while. Because as you know, I come from the CFL, and so a lot of the first retractable roof, and really the only one, is in Toronto. And there's a lot of CFL coaches over the years playing in there with the Argos. They wanted it closed every game. For obvious reasons, perfect conditions. There might have been some pushback on that, and I've broadcast many games in there, including the 2007 Grey Cup. But the roof was obviously closed because it was cold as hell. Carlos in Indiana says, I thought it was the owner who determines if the roof is open. Maybe in Indianapolis. Maybe in Indy. I could see Carly Ursay I could see her overruling the coach. But in most places, it's the coach. BW in Edmonton says it's too hot in North Dakota. Plus 30 all week. That's Celsius. 90 to 92 Fahrenheit here in Moose Jaw. Alan May joins us right after this on Silver State Sports.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show on Silver State Sports in Nevada, various other platforms, including WQVZ Radio, YouTube Live, and Game Plus streaming. Alan May played 393 NHL games with the Bruins, Oilers, Capitals, Stars, and Flames. Now he's with the Washington Capitals on TV. Joins us today from where, Al? Are you in D.C.?
I'm still in D.C. for 2 more weeks, and then the Magical Mystery Tour starts for the rest of the summer. So looking forward to that.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you're watching lots of hockey, man. You're one of those guys that if you cut your head, a puck falls out. And since we're on Vegas TV, can we open with Game 4, the Western Conference Final tonight? Does it end, do you think, in the Fortress tonight?
Well, they always say the hardest game to win is that 4th game, but I think they're so in the heads of the Colorado Avalanche. They're outcoached. They're outcoaching the Avs. They are outplaying the Avs in every facet. I think just everything they're doing is right now. And John Tortorella has been the greatest thing that could have happened late in the season to these guys because he's given them an entire new attitude. So I'd expect that Lady Luck should fall on the side of the Golden Knights tonight. But the way that last game started, you never know. But they have been the better team throughout this series.
Okay. Tell me what the hockey people are saying. You speak for all hockey people on this series. The fact, like when the coaching change was made, there were the critics saying, "Oh, can Tort stop the puck? Oh, it's going to take more than him." Like it's all worked out perfectly from what I see. What do you see from the change to now?
Well, what people don't realize about John Tortorella, and I think I've told you this before, he is one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. And certainly in the game of hockey, he is so completely opposite of what people think he is. From what he's very cantankerous with the media, the press. He can't stand most of them, and probably from his time in New York City, where I'd hate everyone as well. But this guy has a way of, you go into his office, you walk out 10 feet tall and bulletproof. He makes you think just the greatest things about yourself. There's a belief system that he has. He's a guy that wants to run through the wall. He wants to coach, his players to run through the wall, and he'll run through the wall. He's so contagious, and I think that's what they needed, because I remember, I swear to God, the Capitals were in Vegas, and I was looking at, and Cassidy looked miserable, and I was thinking, and I said it out loud in my group. We were watching the game that night. I go, I wonder if they would actually think of firing him, because it looks like it's worn out. I said, he looks disgusted. The players look like they're bitter, and there's animosity towards him right now. And he even admits he's got that type of personality when it comes to coaching. And Torts on the other side of it is a breath of fresh air, and he's all for one. He and you'll hear from all the players that used to play for him. Maybe not the player that got sat out every game, or the guy he sent repeatedly to the minors. They probably don't have great things to say about him. But anyone that played on his teams, they absolutely love the guy. And I think they needed that change in attitude. That's been the big thing, because it's the same players. It's just a change in attitude.
And Kelly McCrimmon said when the move was made, he said, we've lost the spirit of the team. And nobody has their finger on the pulse of their team in the NHL more than Kelly McCrimmon. And I'll say this, and our viewers know, I've been saying it for months, I had no doubt Vegas was going to turn it around. I didn't know how, even if it meant firing the coach. So I'm on the train. I kind of wonder how far this goes, because I'm assuming they're going to beat Colorado. Montreal and Carolina are kicking the crap out of each other. I mean, while it might not be the most physical series, Al, they're playing extra time. It's still gritty hockey.
Oh, it's exciting hockey, and thank you to the Montreal Canadiens for being the most exciting team in the National Hockey League. They've been sensational all through these playoffs in the regular season, and getting to play in Montreal, getting to be at games in Montreal is a lifetime experience that you have. If you're a hockey person, you've got to find a way to get there. But both of these teams, they're nonstop, they're relentless. Montreal is the prettier of the team. They've got, the great passing, they've got just highlight reel type of players. And Carolina actually has that, but they don't play that way. They're just in your face at all times. And I hope that series goes 7 games, because I can't get enough of watching Montreal. Carolina, I'm kind of sick of over the years, but I really do appreciate what Rod Brind'Amour brings to every game, and everyone buys into it. You don't hear his players complaining about playing hard and playing effective hockey every night. And they've had excellent goaltending in Freddie Anderson. They're relentless. And I thought maybe their size would catch up to them this year, because they have so many smallish forwards that by the end of this, it's very scrappy to be in the playoffs. You've got big defensemen. You've got your third and fourth liners that press on you a lot. And I thought that might be the downfall of them. But, the Montreal Canadiens are not exactly bruisers, but they've got a few guys on their team that scare the living daylights out of anyone when they're wheeling. And that Josh Anderson, probably the best forechecker in the National Hockey League, maybe the fastest guy when he's hunting a puck. He's fun to watch as well.
He reminds me of Jean Beliveau. I had to look up to see if Beliveau shot right or left. He shot left, but still a huge power forward. Alan May with us from Washington Capitals TV. The cool thing about this series, Al, is what you just said, the difference in the two teams, their makeup, the way they play. It's that staunchy, boring defense. It looks like watching the Devils. To me, that game last night was gross. Versus Montreal's just wheel and deal and fire wagon. And it's like, which forces get a win? And we don't know yet.
Well, it all depends on your announcers, how they have the sound turned up. But if you're in either of those arenas, if you're down in Carolina or you're up in Montreal, everyone's biting the fingernails. It's on the edge of your seat hockey. I watched both Broadcast Canada and US last night. And I thought it was an exciting game. There's so many almost goals, so many shots that are blocked at the last second, the weird, ugly bounces. I think that's a great thing about playoff hockey. And no one has been able to figure out, the right front office, the right coaching staff, the right roster to win a Stanley Cup year after year. And what style, what game plan. There is no perfect game plan. There is no perfect roster. It's just a mix that comes together each season. And whatever team finds the mix at the right time and the confidence and just that attitude, that's who ends up winning the Stanley Cup. And you've got to have health and you've got to have bounces.
I'll give you that. It was exciting, but I've seen more exciting. But
Oh,
Craig Simpson,
it was ugly last. It was ugly, but at the same time, you're all over the place emotionally watching these games. And if I had, a stake in either team, I'd just be going nuts right now. I'd be racked today.
I
I'd be
know.
like absolutely exhausted. But you look at it, here a lot of times I cheer out of hate, like who I want to lose. I can't stand that guy. I can't stand that team. And that's how that's why I'm no good at picking my pools most years. This year I took the hate out of it and I've done pretty well.
It's hard to do. I say bet with your head, not your heart. But with Craig Simpson, I don't know if you were watching when Craig Simpson said on the broadcast last night, he goes, the twists and turns in these playoffs are unbelievable. It's been a great spring, which we knew that it would be. Kind of felt that it would be, right?
Oh, it has been. And, one of the things I questioned at the start, we had, it was so hard for me. A couple of the late games I was watching, and I watch in my bed with my iPad. And I couldn't remember if I watched the end of the game because they were going so long and I was getting tired. I typically wake up at 6 or 7 every day. And all of a sudden it's games at 2 and 3 in the morning. And I was like, what is going on? And then I'd wake up at 4 or 5 and go, who won? And I go, oh yeah, that's right. He scored. But with these late night games and everything that's going on, ratings through those first 2 rounds were through the roof. And you didn't have the New York teams in there. You didn't have LA. You had, one, 2 Canadian teams, one for a round. Pittsburgh was out right away. And we didn't have all the hockey hotbeds with as far as the TV rating. So it shows that people love great hockey. The NHL's onto something with all these weird times. Like tonight on the East Coast, it's a 9 p.m. start. And I'm thinking, am I staying at the house to watch it? I'm going to go watch this with buddies tonight. And I go, I think I'm staying at the house to watch this one. You could be out at 2, 3 a.m. watching an overtime game tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, another reason why I'm loving being in the West. I mean, the East is great, but for sports watching, it sucks. So it's fantastic hockey. I got to get your take on this, by the way. You listen to NHL radio a lot, right?
Yes, I do, and I swear at it a lot.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys say that. But that aside, Brian Burke was on there Friday. I don't know if you caught the interview with Berkey, but they were asking about the co-GM role in Montreal. And he goes, it should never work. He goes, you can only have one guy drive a car. Have you ever seen 2 guys with the hands in the wheel? But it's working in Montreal. He's like, this is the only place that it works. Why do you think that is?
I think the personalities of those 2 guys are, if you've ever heard them on a podcast or an interview, they're sensational. Jeff Gordon is so funny. I heard him on a Spit and Chicklets podcast a week ago, and I couldn't stop laughing. He was giving out barbs left and right. He came in firing. He's a typical Boston guy from all the guys that I know, and he's a lifer of the game. And so is Ken Hughes. And just the way they talk, and then even, they both have great connections to Marty St. Louis. So the 3 of those guys have done a masterful job of, checking the egos at the door and just thinking of innovative, creative, new ways, inspirational ways to turn this franchise around. And they've done an incredible job because they really are. When they put those 5 guys out in the power play, it is electrifying. And they may not score every time, but the way they move the puck, everything they do, the patience they had with Slavkovsky, and look at him. He's a dominant power forward in the league right now. Suzuki might be the best all-around center in the league, challenging Sidney Crosby in that area. And then Caulfield's a sniper. Demidov, I can't get enough of watching this guy with the puck.
Oh, my God.
And then Lane Hudson on the point is just, it's a highlight reel every time he's on the ice. Unfortunately, last night he was on a low light reel to end the game, but normally 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, Lane Hudson is making the right plays and making great things happen on the ice. So you kind of live and die with players, like him. They're going to cost you every once in a while, but they're going to win you way, way, way more games than they'll ever lose you.
You're a smart guy. You can think on your feet. I'm going to ask you why you swear at NHL radio. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But I'm dying to know.
Well, I'll call you later today when we're off the show. But, some of the takes just drive me crazy. The nitpicking on every goal, every play, I can't stand it. And I think, you have to have a mature rational take every day after you watch the games. And, and it's kind of like fans. The reason you don't let a fan make your coaching decisions or your GM decisions, you'd be out of all of your players, you'd be out of all your coaches, you'd have 20 coaches under contract that aren't working for you. So I think, I don't think they're hot takes. Sometimes I just think they're absolutely ridiculous. And, it just shows a lack of knowledge and understanding of the game top to bottom. And you can't just, get upset and just completely change course every day. And you don't throw players under the bus. The goaltending, like Freddie Anderson has one game where he lets in a couple of goals, and all of a sudden, it was all smoke and mirrors in the first 2 rounds when he didn't let in any goals. So I just don't think you go over the top after any game. And when teams lose, and I've seen teams lose a game 8-0, I would go, it's one game. And in the playoffs, you can get your ass kicked one night and still win the series. And, you might take you 4 overtime games to win, but the 2 games you lost might have been by 5-goal deficits, but you still won the series. So it's always just one game. And I say this during the regular season, a team gets their ass kicked on a Tuesday night in November. I go, it's November. No one won the Stanley Cup tonight. No one lost the Stanley Cup tonight. So you've got to be mature and rational. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice? But here's the thing on that. I'm with you. I let it go. I kind of laugh at it. I mean, somebody said to me the other day, how come there's not as much analysis about the games anymore? I said, because they don't know it. Don't get me going on. They don't know the game. So they're making stuff up. But the thing that's tickling me is the Philly people going, oh, why did we let Tortorella go? Why didn't we get something for him? Why did we let Carter Hart go? Or the Oilers people going, why didn't we sign him? I'm like, you can't do that. You had your chance. You can't. And they're looking at Vegas, laughing all the way to the cup. That's the big thing for me. You guys all had your chance, and you blew it.
I'm with you. And you look at Carter Hart. He wasn't going to play in Canada. And it goes back to too much media coverage, too many opinions, the absolute awful noise and screech of social media. He's in Vegas. There's the teams in the South were all welcoming him because he can walk around the streets and not take it on the chin every day. And regardless of what people think may or may not have happened, the courts cleared him and he's back playing in the National Hockey League. That's going to offend a lot of people. But, all the evidence was presented. I believe all the players testified. And, the bottom line is Carter Hart great to be a hockey player again? It looked like all of those players would never get a chance to do it. And Carter Hart's making the most of his opportunity and his second chance to play in the National Hockey League. And he's doing very well right now. And he's got a team that loves and supports him. And, he's just got to remain to be a great citizen the rest of his life.
Right. And he's playing like he's got a second chance. And that's what it's looking like, right? And I always knew that he would be the next one. Speaking of the next one, how about the grade 8? Do you ever get tired answering questions about the grade 8, Alex Ovechkin?
And absolutely not. I told you a long time ago, he put my kids through college, pays for the roof over my head, the cars I drive. And he's been absolutely amazing to watch all these years. I didn't think he'd break Gretzky's record. I didn't think anybody would break Gretzky's record, but he's the best longevity goal scorer in the history of the game. And there's just so many times, and people have counted him out. And one thing I've said it so many times in the broadcast, you could just press a button and said, I will never bet against him. The guy played last year, hobbled and injured, and still led this team in scoring. He hardly got to play. He didn't get any defensive zone starts. Still had the most goals and the most points in the Washington Capitals. And I don't think he ever hit his stride last year. So, just absolutely amazing and fun to watch. And I don't want him to play till he's 50, but it's going to spend a lot more time in the gym if he needs that to happen. And he needs a lot more luck from the health gods because, he's been pretty fortunate. He hasn't suffered a whole lot of injuries throughout this career.
What a debate, though, because I was digging into it like we all were during the chase. And who is the purest goal scorer? Because Bossy and Lemieux are up there with the goals per game. Where are you on that debate? And we know why they didn't. Yeah.
I'm Gretzky. I'm Gretzky when it comes to, look what he was able to do. 92 goals in a season, all those seasons where he had 200-plus points, but on the goal scoring. But when you look back at it, I was lucky enough to see Mike Bossy play in person a lot as a kid, being an Edmonton Oilers fan, a season ticket holder with my family. And I couldn't believe he wasn't a great skater. He was kind of vicious. He didn't take anything from anyone. If someone gave it to him, he gave it right back with the stick. But could he ever shoot the puck? In today's hockey, with the way power plays are structured now, if you could take that mind and that shot and the way power plays are structured right now, he'd be a 100-goal scorer, in my opinion. So, when you look at single season, there really was nothing like it because he was a shooter. Gretz used to skate through the maze and shoot across the grain and, get breakaways. I'm not sure how many breakaways Mike Bossy had, but with, I'm going to be respectful, but I don't think a whole lot. But he was a pure shooter. Lemieux was a sniper, but Brett Hull, he never gets the credit as well. I played against him. He was the fastest player on the ice when he had the puck on his stick. And talk about breakaways.
Oh.
And I felt like every game I ever played against him, he had 1 or 2 breakaways and just a lethal shot. So it's got to be in there, but I'm sure I'm disrespecting someone else because there have been so many great snipers in the game. But those 4 names to me are probably the guys.
I was going to say, they're all in the top 5. We got less than a minute, but is Gretzky bigger than you dimensionally?
No, no,
He's
I think
not?
Gretz is about, no, I'm close to 6'2". I think Gretz is closer to 6. And,
Okay.
yeah. And when I first time I saw him in the room in Edmonton, when I was a brief Oiler, I was surprised. And it looked like a medium t-shirt, but it just amazing. And he could fly on the ice. Like we forget because we saw, you remember him at the end, but he used to beat every race. He won every race. And I just go back and, he could skate and, equipment was different. Training was different back then. But I say all the great players from every era would be great players in every era.
It worked for him. It worked for him. All right, Al. And yours did too. Good seeing you, buddy. Enjoy the hockey. The great Alan May, Washington Capitals TV analyst. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. You're watching the RP Show on Silver State Sports.
For a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center.
Now.
The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show. Loving the back and forth with our guests, also with our viewers. I just saw this. Joe Lazito, I apologize. I just saw it, or I would have said it to Al. He says, "Good day, Roddy and Alan. It was a privilege to watch Mike Bossy play every night." The boss. I'll tell you what. I don't know what they're thinking about getting age. People bitch about getting older. It's a privilege to get older, number one. And number two, the ability to look back, especially in these Stanley Cup playoffs, and talk about the history and what we've seen. People are comparing Jakub Dobiš to Jaroslav Halak as great Montreal goal. What? When you got Patrick Waugh there that we watched, no, you're kind of forgetting about Carey Price, but which, speaking of all of that, I mean, I don't like to sit here and bang on the media. Certainly not going to name them per se. But and Al didn't name anybody there either when I said who you get mad at with NHL radio. But David number 2 from Winnipeg writes in, he says, "I think one of the biggest problems with media coverage, especially with press conferences, is that the reporters seem to have no experience playing the game they're covering. The questions asked are often the same every time. That's why they're the same every time. They don't know what to ask." And it's interesting if Brent from Wellington, Florida is still watching. We've had this discussion. It's not about having played the game. It's not. It's about having just grown up with the game and watching it. Because, Brent, I've said why the Florida viewers like me, and when I understand why the Vegas viewers like me that are the hockey fans or want to know hockey, is they know that I know it. And Brent said in Florida, where he's lived for 30 years, he's like, they know every sport but hockey. They didn't play it necessarily, but they know basketball, they know hockey, they know basketball, football, baseball, soccer, but they didn't grow up with hockey, so they don't know it. That makes sense, doesn't it? And that's why now when I'm in these news conferences with the NHL coaches and GMs and some players, I don't ask questions. I don't ask them because my questions go right to the heart, and a lot of times they don't want to answer them. And I don't need a fight. I don't need my press credentials pulled because I asked a question you don't like, you don't want to answer. So I don't. Kirk, but I will say one thing. There's a guy working in a front office of an NHL team right now who was on national television in Canada on TSN for a few years. We've gotten to be good friends. And when he left TSN to go back work on the dark side, he said to me, he goes, "I can't believe the amount of guys and gals that I work with there that have no idea about the game of hockey. I had no idea how they have a job." Word. This one, I'm glad you brought it up, Kirk, and I also know those viewers like this show because of the Canadian contingent, the Canadian component, sorry. This one drives my bus. And Kirk, you're a P1, you're a priority 1 viewer, so I'm not going to call you down. But he writes in on the Western Dodge text line, which, by the way, experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you, the official vehicle supplier of the RP show. Kirk in Toronto says, Tim Hortons, that's the most famous Canadian coffee brand chain. Tim Hortons to dial back hiring of temporary foreign workers, seeks to employ more youth. He says, who knew Dunkin' Donuts return announcing the hiring of Canadians has them changing their policy. Dunkin' Donuts opening 100-plus stores across Canada. It's ignited a controversy, and people are, here's the story. Canadians are going to drink Dunkin' Donuts instead because they're going to employ white people. And we're not drinking Tim Hortons anymore because all they do is employ immigrants. I thought it was about getting a friggin' cup of coffee. That's the one thing. As I was approaching the 49th parallel on that United Airlines flight 2502 on Sunday night, I could feel the rage building as I was getting closer to the 49th parallel. You have that big of a problem over who's pouring your coffee. Is that what I'm to understand here? I know I'm not going to change their or your perspective on this, but I would suggest of the list of things that concern me, that's pretty damn low. Yep. But it's national news that Canadians are going to turn their back on Tim Hortons. Oh, also it's American owned, by the way, Tim Hortons brand. Overtime is next. We'll get to your great messages. We'll be right back on Silver State Sports, WQVZ, and the rest.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
All right, welcome back for Overtime, everybody. Proudly brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Ta-da! An amusement park for hockey players. That's what I call it. And it looks like I'll be there within a few weeks' time, so I'm very excited about that. If you want to know why I love it so much, stop in for yourself, especially if you're in southern Alberta on a holiday where skill and fun collide. There's always something new and fun going on at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Gosh darn it, I want to get to the sports update, but there's just so much more other fun stuff going on. Like they're fighting over who serves you coffee, immigrants or white people. Just say it out loud. Paul in Humboldt writes in, says, how dumb can we be? Are you quoting John Frenzy on that? If you are, bravo. You're going to drink that coffee, so don't insult the people who are preparing it. I might add, the immigrant workers are real nice. What's your problem with them? I'm an immigrant. FYI, breaking news, I'm an immigrant to the USA. We're not bad people. McDonald's coffee's better, blah, 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 blah. Listen, potato. Some people like Betty. Some people like Veronica. Like it's... When are we ever going to get to that, to each their own? Whoops, I just exited out of the YouTube. I better get that back. It's where I'm getting all my entertainment today. From you people. Don't get me started. Where is that sports up? You think I would have had this ready to go. Okay. It's old news by now, really. But anyways, Astros starter Tatsuya Imai plus reliever Stephen Okert and Alimber Santana in his debut combined to throw a no-hitter in Monday's 9-0 victory over the Texas Rangers, marking MLB's first no-no since 2024. It was Houston's 7th no-hitter since 2019, which is 4 more than any other team in that span. From the NBA, the Knicks cruised to a 130-93 victory over the Cavaliers Monday night in Cleveland to complete their second straight series sweep and reach the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Spoiler alert, you're going to get very sick of Knicks fans. I already am. Who really knew that they were the Leafs fans and Cowboys fans of basketball? Now we know. Hamilton's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander headlined the All-NBA first-team All-Star squad alongside Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Luka Doncic, and Cade Cunningham. Headlining the second and third teams, a whopping 4 players named Jalen, Brunson, Johnson, Duran, or Brown. For the college baseball fans, bring this up and you would think nobody cares. I'll tell you why I do, and a lot of people in my purview do. UCLA earned the number 1 overall seed in the 64-team NCAA baseball tournament, which begins on Friday with 16 double elimination regionals. Defending champion LSU, who barely finished above 500, missed the tournament for the first time since 2011. So I'll say it again. I'm sitting up here in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, going to be broadcasting baseball all summer in the Western Canadian Baseball League. It is an NCAA. Why can't I get this to come up? NCAA Summer League. And all our players come from, well, they all come from America in terms of they've all been playing NCAA or NAIA schools. I think 40% of the players are Canadian, 60% are U.S., and they're all going to be into the March Madness, I guess it's not March Madness, but the 64-team baseball bracket of NCAA baseball. There's just so much going on. That same Kirk from Toronto wrote in here the other day about the American Hockey League and the baby Leafs. Not on my radar, which is unfortunate, but there's only so much space. Bob writes in, says, "G'day, Rod. Bob from Medhat. Just tuned in. Have a great day, my friend." Same to you, Bob in Medhat. Glad you found us over here on Silver State Sports and streaming. Chad in Lethbridge writes in. Says, if you don't like who's pouring your coffee, make it at home. Moose always says that I complain about the complaining, that I'm just as bad. I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. You're not going to go to this coffee place because where the servers were born? I don't know. It's just me. Sounds a little crazy. David number 2 writes in, says, from Winnipeg on the Western Dodge text line, says, I never complain about who serves my coffee because it's mostly me. Number 1 complaints, I take it to upper management. My wife. Well, there is that. Well, we got through this one today. We didn't spend as much time on it an hour 2, obviously, because it's the Silver State Hour, but it's also funny. The owner of the BC Lions, Amar Dolman, DM'd me and said, that guy that co-hosts with you in hour 1, he's too negative. He's stuck in the past. Well, he's Canadian, but so too is Amar. But yeah, I don't think Scruffy really appreciated that unsolicited review from the owner of the BC Lions. As I said, why did Fred Flintstone invite that loud rock Joe Rockhead to the party? Because he's just right for the party. Why is Scruffy on here 2 days a week in hour 1? Because he's just right for the party. He doesn't care who he pisses off. He doesn't have as much runway left in this perilous trade as I do. He doesn't care. But anyways, we had a lot of fun with that in hour 1. Big thank you to Alan May as well for the Stanley Cup playoff talk. Theron Fleury joining us, a Hall of Famer in every regard on Wednesday. And it'll be an hour 1 of where I get to be the Larry King of sports. Just you and Gloria in Round Rock, Texas. Hello. That's coming up tomorrow, so try to get your sleep ahead of that. Thanks for tuning into the RP Show, everybody. Have a good one.
That.